will be, like we mentioned, the Battle of the Titans, and we'll start things off on control on Lijiang Tower. It will be Gardens first. Take a look to see what they're going to be rolling out of spawn with, and you mentioned it, and it looks like it will be coming to true, is it will be just mirror matchups. Goats, actually, pardon me, not mirror matchups. It'll be Goats for that one winner, and Bilibili will be coming into battle with the Winston-based Goats. Eliminations coming in the first couple of seconds already as T1W put themselves up on a 5-on-4 situation, but over being down for Bilibili means that they have to essentially come back, soft reset, hope they can recontest just as this point reopens up.
We actually see Over now switching over onto the Reinhardt to match what Silver 3 has come out on. Both the main tanks went down so quickly in that first fight, allowing T1W to take the first cap. But Bilibili, they're coming back in for their next engage.
T1W, though, with the point in their control, they could essentially just delay, sustain, and try to get as much capture percentage as they can at worst case scenario. Coldest already with a Transcendence, able to put that up aggressively, and Silver 3 gets taken down. The aggression from Bilibili, able to capitalize on the main shield frontliner for the side of Billy. Coming back into it, T1W looking to try to sustain for as long as possible. Graviton surges come out for both teams. Over's taken down, so a 5-on-5. But now as the self-destruct sequences will also pass by, it'll actually be more confirmed damage for Bilibili. The sound barrier was also utilized for Mika. Illusion not having pulled the trigger for his squad means that Bilibili will get the flip. Only 37% accrued up for that one winner.
And T1W used 3 of their ultimates in one go there and still weren't able to secure themselves the fight. But one thing I think was really key, and you mentioned it, was Coldest using his Transcendence in an aggressive way to help with Bilibili Gaming's engagement. And all it goes to show there is the confidence they have that he can build up another Transcendence fast enough that should they need it defensively, it will still be there. He was so far ahead of Weir in his percentage that it just goes to show what the support line are doing for BLG.
Silver 3, a little bit of a backside. Earthshatter will put a lot of players on their back, and that's going to be enough for the engagement to be won immediately by T1W, and a lot of them coming on the back end of Silver 3, able to clean up his own work. So things looking solid for T1W. An immediate flip. They're back up to over 40% and capturing more.
And we were talking about whether Silver 3 is quite as good a main tank as maybe Over or even how he was last season. But being able to see that opportunity that the entire enemy team are locked and trapped in this small room and using that Earthshatter and be able to have that cleanup to clean them all up, get rid of them all, that takes pretty good main tank.
Shy wants to get aggressive. He does not have the charge in his plasma cannon, though, to really convert on the back end of his own Graviton Surge. Working to get to above 70%. He's there. Now closer to 80. Waiting for the defense matrix to be down, able to drop this safely. Bilibili now looking to convert. Transcendence is here for Ouya, though. Looking to put the self-destruct sequence on top of Bilibili. He's able to find 2 with it. So now all of a sudden the number is 6-on-4 for Bilibili, and they'll clean up the rest of their work. Immediately flip back once again. It just comes down to who has the ultimates, it seems so far, Geo.
Yeah, this is constantly just going backwards and forwards, and you're right, it is an ultimate game. One team will win with their ultimates, and then as the next team come in, they'll have their ultimates ready and going. But it's getting closer and closer to the wire now, given that the one winner has 81% on the board. So Bilibili have got to catch up with this percentage. Otherwise, all T1W have to do is win this next fight, and they can cap the point for themselves and take it.
Have they caught Billy in a weird spot, though? The rallies were exchanged for both teams. Miche will also try to clean things up with the Graviton Surge in play. Billy also committing, though, the Transcendence in the mix. Not able to keep anybody alive, so again, T1W able to come back through, win the exchange very quickly, and they should be able to flip this one and be in the realm of possibility to potentially go in to win this first stage, as we will have a small abbreviated pause from our players. First initial reaction so far, though, Gio, I mean, this has been very back and forth, very dramatic and very, I would say just, again, pulling and pushing, a little bit of a tug-of-war game so far.
Well, control is always a little bit of an anomaly. You never really know what you're going to expect. But one thing I will say is we did kind of comment on the fact that we expect BLG's GOATs to be a little bit better than T1W's. I think it definitely did T1W a favor that they came out with the Reinhardt initially, which meant that they were able to kind of accrue that ultimate percentage a little bit faster, give themselves a little bit of boost, while BLG ended up going back and changing. But I am pleasantly surprised to see that T1W are able to hold up a pretty good fight against BLG, and right now they're of course leading in the percentage on the control point right now, looking like they're set to take this point.
Well, again, anything can happen. It just comes down to, will Billy be able to flip things and then actually be able to hold off the retake? Because so far it's been one team captures, you have the retakes and captures, retake and capture, retake and capture. Just a very back and forth battle, kind of just flipping the coin between both teams. Again, it seems to be at the behest of just having whoever has the ultimates and whoever hits the trigger first. The sustain ultimates have been pretty good for both sides so far, but the damage has been better. And to be honest, it looks like so far T1W has found a way to actually keep over a little bit of the overextended side. He's been caught out a couple more times than I think he'd be happy with at the moment.
Yeah, and I think one place where we are seeing a slight disparity is in the offensive value of the divas. I don't want to say it's 100% on the divas because as an off tank you have a lot of different roles, but we have been seeing Hybe get a couple of self-destructs. He's been getting his name in that kill feed quite a bit, which isn't something you're already seeing so much from Zijin. And Zijin is someone who is perhaps the weakest spot of BLG. That doesn't mean he's objectively weak or objectively a bad player, but probably not their biggest star power. So that's one place you want to be looking out for. And in fact, just before that pause happened, we saw Hybe was the last person to deal a significant amount of damage and get those, I believe, 3 eliminations to send BLG packing.
And I was about to say, besides this, the Diva battle, I've also been really entertained by the Zarya battle. I mean, Mijia, in the last season, he was very stapled for his Doomfist gameplay, kind of in the same vein as Shochang was previously. We saw him just earlier today, but for this side of things, Mijia has been playing the Zarya a little bit more regularly, I guess we'd say. He's been really impressive thus far, staying up to par with the progress that we've seen from Bilibili as we are about to get back into play. Shy, again, that player for Bilibili that we were talking about in that head-to-head matchup. The point flip does come through as we are joining back in. T1W still have a Shatter plus a Transcendence, and they're also very close to a Sound Barrier, just to give you the status updates.
This is where it's going to be quite difficult for Bilibili to break through, because once again, they're making this rotation where rather than going the open route, they're coming through a much more narrow hallway, which makes them less prone to fire, but it also makes them a lot more vulnerable to an Earth Shatter.
And speaking of, there is the Earth Shatter. Silver able to knock down a couple over, immediately taken down. Mika will get at least one sound boop off, but I don't think it's going to make much of a difference as both of the Lucios do hit the sound barrier. Numbers still favor Bilibili. Oh, actually, they're able to self-destruct into Mijia, so if Mika can delay, let his frontliners come back to the mix, he might just be able to delay this for long enough to keep this in contest. He's getting armor packs. We can see Wuya not quite able to track him down with the projectiles. All of a sudden, the rally is here for Billy. Shy has switched to the Doomfist, and he finds the uppercut elimination on this Silver 3. The Transcendence is just a little bit late. Bilibili have the numbers, and they're looking to clean things up. The fight's still not completely over, as D1W still has the point under control, but again, that's only for a short time. The desperate swaps from Shy pays off dividends, and now they're in control, but they still have to hold.
That was so close, and I think Mika actually receiving that armor pack the second that Weir tried to send those orbs of destruction into him while he was wall riding really was what allowed Bilibili to catch up and bring enough members of the team to the point, because they hadn't got down that one member who was holding on to the point and keeping it in contention. So now it's T1W's time to come in and make this rotation. They do have the self-destruct ready to go, starting things off with the rally.
They almost have Graviton Surge as well. Shy goes down. There's no Zarya again for Bilibili because he switched over to the Doomfist. Transcendence is utilized for Coldest. Graviton Surge being used for T1W. Do they have the damage to pierce through the end of the Transcendence? It sure looks like they do. The self-destruct sequences there, and this fight will be cleaned up. Again, you had to make a play if you're Shy to make the desperate swap, and he does pay off dividends to make sure the point is in contest, but without having that Zarya there, how realistic is the fight when Shy will try to dive in one more time, but his life is very abbreviated, and T1W will draw first blood here on the scoreboard, up 1-0.
And that's the thing that happens. Sometimes you make these changes and it'll work out for one fight, but if it's not the last fight of the game, then it can then put you in a disadvantageous position. As you just mentioned, not having that Zarya available really can be detrimental to your prospects and your prognosis going into the final fight. So, of course, T1W were able to bring BLG down. But now, of course, moving over into Control Center, this is a map that is so well equipped for these GOATs compositions. So I won't be expecting any Doomfist switch-ups going into this one, but it'll be interesting to see if there's some more clean play like we've been seeing so far, and a constant switch-up and flip-up of the points. But we are, of course, having just a brief pause here again, so we'll have to wait.
It's just keeping us on the edge of our seats.
Yes.
So you can't get the full throttle of this match. We have to be teased with it. Little flirtation going on at the moment. I'm interested, though, again, because Control Center is one of those modes that, or map, I guess, environments here on Lijiang Tar that you could potentially see things like a May. Of course, more stapled, you see the traditional 3-3 comps just duking it out with one another, and with these teams at our hands. That's what we're expecting. But It is very possible and very plausible that we very could well see a Mei come into the battle just to, again, level in some extra distraction factors and just, again, just peeling away and separating teams with those ice walls, but also the blizzard can be huge because of the tight close quarters area that we have.
Yeah, it's totally possible, but I suspect that these teams won't go for that purely because throughout the whole season, they haven't really shown anything of that. They know that what they're comfortable on. T1W have tried really hard to be working on their GOATS compositions, and of course, Bilibili have very rarely switched off it anyway. So I highly doubt we'll see that, but it is, of course, an option. If they decide to switch things up, it could be something that they're not quite expecting to come out or haven't necessarily scrimmed against. So it could throw a spanner in the works. But when you're in this situation, especially for BLG, who they're already one map down, don't necessarily want to be making kind of potentially Hail Mary compositional choices just in case they win.
Well, we see them both coming out of spawn. Traditional 3-3 goats coming at us. And they will actually be posturing in the same positions. Both the Reinhardt starting to slap at one another. Advantage so far in the health pool department for T1W. They find Yakumo. That's a big pick. And you take a look. Over has nowhere to retreat back to without that Inspire healing there. He's not going to be able to get bursted back up. No armor pack either. So T1W again winning the early eliminations. And they will open this point in their favor first.
Over was very much pushed back with his back against the wall there, and it gave sort of an opening line of sight for damage to be dealt in behind his shield. But this does mean T1W now, after capping the point, can push up on this choke point. However, Bilibili have different ideas, going for a different rotation to attempt to make it to the point.
Oh, they're able to take Eren down first. Third Shadow does come down for T1W, but Silver's also very low, and Bilibili are able to sustain themselves through it very nicely, trying to find the staggers and potentially the T-wipe as Shy, near full charge, continues to work his way around the point. They have T1W caught into a corner, and if they can find the eliminations here, this would be a monumental stagger and giving them a huge advantage, but Ruya thinks that they can win this, so they'll put down the Transcendence, and now Silver 3 going down. Looks like Bilibili will not have to commit any of their ultimates besides just the rally. They will clean this up completely, and once again, it will flip back in Bilibili's favor, but it was still just over 40% that T1W was able to account first.
Yeah, of course, and they did manage to bring T1W after using, of course, that the Graviton Surge, having them all clumped together, but we saw before then how hard they were trying to bring Silver 3 down, who was very low HP, but Shy obviously went off on his little goose chase to try and get it, and he still wasn't coming down without those ultimates being invested.
Oh, nice little shatter play here as Over's able to put a couple down on their back, but nobody falling as of yet. The sound barriers utilized. Vijay is put down the Graviton Surge. And well, here's what's more important. Shy has not used his yet. Hy-Vee will take one with him, but that's not going to be enough to turn the fight in their favor. T1W not able to get through, but more importantly, all that was used was the self-destruct sequence with the Transcendence. Billy still have a lot of team fight winning ultimates in the tank.
Yeah, they're holding this very well at this point. Of course, Shy has got another Graviton Surge, which will be so key to use as T1W enter into this room. Looks like he's not going to use it yet, though.
Zijin going down is actually really massive, because now it just comes down to Bilibili. You have to commit and try to take this fight down quickly. Very nicely placed. Graviton Surge from Shy. That's all they need to win this one out. Zijin will stay alive and will actually get his mech back likely before the next fight breaks out. That's actually very fortunate, because if you lose your diva at that point, maybe that fight gets changed around, but T1W now with the ultimate advantage looking to regain.
Bilibili, they have overtaken T1W in their percentage, so now, of course, this next fight has to be won by T1W if they hope to swing things back in their favor. Earth Shatter coming out.
For both players, and Soundbearer actually very clutch right as the charge came through. Shy's able to help turn around to find Wuya. Coldest turns onto Silver 3. Really good trigger discipline from Mika for Bilibili Gaming on the Sound Barrier just to keep his players alive. It was a good shatter attempt from Silver 3. He had an opportunity to move forward, but he gets shut down by the Sound Barrier.
At this point, T1W are going to be kind of getting a little bit nervous. It's basically a one-fight territory here, and if they can't make it through this one door, once again, they're going to lose this point.
Trying to fight their way in. Wuya's got himself a Transcendence. Mija not quite there to a Graviton Sword. Shy almost has another one, 94% to it. And at 100% charge on the Plasma Cannon. He has it. When do you pop this? Waiting for a chance to catch potentially T1W out. This is last fight scenario for Billy if they can find a way to win it. Defense Matrix get utilized for T1W. And now do we see Shy drop the Graviton Surge? We sure do. Transcendence also for Bilibili. They take down Silver 3. And this might just be it. The self-destruct sequence for 2. Over able to hit the shatter. And that should likely be it, as there's just too much sustain for Bilibili. The Transcendence expires, but the point flips, and now we're drawn up one apiece, heading to Night Market for the final potential area on Lijiang Tower.
It was a perfectly timed Graviton Surge directly after getting a wonderful stun there on Silver 3, which meant that there was nothing to be done for them, and it was just cleanup after that. Of course, landing that Earthshatter at the end to put Malamrun and Hybe on the ground. So as you say now, it's going to be a 1 apiece. Looking like they're probably going to be coming in with the same compositions. I think this is something we should be getting used to in this series shift. I'm not sure that we're going to see too much drifting off of this. But I think when it comes to Night Market, typically we see the team that can have the aggressive positioning and actually get in close to the point first, rather than hanging around for too long outside, getting involved in the firefight, is often the ones that will get that first cap. And it looks like that's what T1W is going for here.
Oh, and Over again wants to play so aggressive. You have to be careful. He's very low. We'll catch an Orb of Harmony, but that's not going to be enough to sustain through the Fire Strike. And now all of a sudden, T1W can hit the gas pedal, and they're going to clean this one up. This is the 3rd straight point now where they've won the opening engagement and will start the point capture in their favor first.
They're just going for Over straight away because they know he's such an integral part of this roster and such a powerful main tank. And BLG have been going for Silver 3 a lot as well, but haven't necessarily been able to clean up those kills. And of course, then dealing the damage on other members of the team allow them to just push them back and take that cap straight away.
Over again with that aggression that was already to 72% to his Earthshatter. Silver 3 just hitting the 60% mark, but Over falls again! Where's the sustain? I mean, Over, do you think you have more healing than you do? T1W is reading this early posturing from Bilibili like a book, and now that they have a little bit more room to work with, their positioning has actually forced Over to be in worse spots over and over again. Now it's 30% though, and T1W have a lot of ultimates to potentially use for this hold.
This is the exact problem, is Over is just being picked off straight away. But you're right about these ultimates. Not only do they have the offensive with the self-destruct, but also the defensive with the Transcendence. So T1W can really protect themselves here.
Again, look, Over wants to get so aggressive. Silver 3 hits the Earthshatter first. Over stunned out of his charge. Will have to back away. Zijin doing what he can to be a distracted force, but T1W just walk away with the fight simply because of the distraction in the front line. No one knew what to look at, and T1W take advantage, picking off one by one. The target prioritization is incredible so far from T1W. They find themselves 60% plus.
And Bilibili want to be coming in and using the ultimates they have on the board, but by the time they even get close enough to think about using them, a member of their team has already been picked off, and you don't want to be using your abilities and investing in these fights when you don't have the entire team there to back you up. But you pretty much can't look at their roster up in the top right hand of the screen without one of the heroes being grayed out at this point.
Well, they will have 5 ultimates. They'll play up against 4. Some of the rally armor was retained for a time, but it's expired now for T1W. Gonna have to come in the back end of Shy's play, most likely. He's just under 20% charged on the plasma cannon, though, so can you really even contest this? There's not a lot of damage here. They are gonna push forward. Over shield very low, almost broken. He does get pushed into, again, Transcendence is forced out. Now the Graviton Surge, you have to win the fight here for Billy. Zijin, a clutch eat up on Ninja's Graviton Surge. Opportunity now for Billy to turn things around, but the Graviton Surge that was eaten was actually able to be followed up by the sound barrier from Illusion, and that was enough for T1W to sustain themselves through and find a couple of clutch eliminations, but the fight is not over yet. Bilibili have found a couple of picks, and now Mija and the rest of the crew will clean things up. This is a clean 100% to 0. T1W take the first map 2-1.
That was something that was so key there about T1W's situation, was that even though they had that Graviton Surge completely eaten up by Zijin, they still had the other ults to follow up with, in this case the self-destruct, and were able to land that damage.
Well, we got to bring Panda back into the mix. I know he's going to be looking at this lack of sustain for Over, or maybe the lack of positioning for Over, as that's been, I think, the biggest crippling factor so far. Panda, take us through the first map.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's as much as I'd love to agree with it, it's actually just a huge misplay coming out from both Shy and Yakumo, time and time again. So long as T1W is able to force Reinhardt 3-3 and not letting Over get away with some Winston banana nuttiness, then that's where T1W is going to be able to pull ahead time and time again. I set up that T1W has yet to be fully tested. Well, you could say the same thing about BLG so far. This is their toughest opponent within their group, and they're being taken to the limit. Over's being overshadowed on the Reinhardt, if you will, from Silver 3, and this is just in fundamentals of 3-3 alone. You don't throw out the repair pack from your Brigatza too early when your Reinhardt's already halved. If the bubble comes out too early because Shy is always behind and being eliminated, just trying to get that charge to get close to the Graviton Surge, Yeah, if I'm T1W and I'm Waya, I'm going to put the Discord orb back on the Reinhardt, and I'm just going to let my Reinhardt run right over you because you don't have the resources to keep him alive. It's not about just poor positioning alone. It's just the poor fundamentals of resource management that's coming out from BLG, and it's not exactly what we would expect coming through from this Academy team. You take a look at some of these highlights. Shy had a heck of a match coming through onto Gardens, especially with that Doomfist play. It was very, very nice. But it's all because of this, man. Look at the fat 180 shatter. Silver 3 is actually just quite literally running away with this match. I always say this every single season. He always ends up surprising me time and time again, especially when all is on the line. You take it all the way back inside Season 2 when it came down to playoffs, and this is where I really started keeping a close eye on the Silver 3. They have this very clutch and pop-off mentality, and so long as the team is backing themselves up and they're not letting Coldest get all of this damage for free, then it's going to be turning back in the favor of T1W time and time again. They're playing more consistently, they're playing together, and they're reaping all of the benefits from their Inspire uptime and their bubble usage right down to shield management. Silver 3 is quite literally carrying this team right now.
Well, this is something that we did mention at the beginning, was this matchup between these two main tanks, but the thing we have to bear in mind is that Over, we primarily see him on the Winston, and it is a different skill set that you see between a Winston and between a Reinhardt, and as you mentioned it, a Winston can just jump in, receive the bubble, be a lot more aggressive, and be able to jump straight back out again. Reinhardt does not have that luxury, and you have to manage your cooldowns a lot differently to do that, and we're seeing how that really fares for BLG.
Well, T1W again drawing first blood on the first control. 1-0 is the score so far. Just after the break, we'll be back with the hybrid to see if Bilibili could bounce back to knot things up. Join us just after this. Welcome back, everybody. IHOLDSHIFT with Geo. We've got ourselves map 2 coming up. Bilibili in a very rare situation so far this contender season. They are down in this set after the first map. They've only lost one map, though, Geo, so that stat line probably doesn't surprise most. But for T1W, again, our expectations were a little all over the place. They come out hitting off strong. It was back and forth for the first two parts of Lijiang, but the 100-0 at the end was very, very convinced that T1W is here to play.
T1W have just been showing that they have a lot more experience maybe, but just a lot more of an understanding of how to run a Reinhardt type of GOATS composition and manage the cooldowns around that. Whereas, of course, Over, we primarily see him on the Winston. And while we've been saying BLG have had a very, very clean GOATS all season thus far, when you put these two Titan main tanks ahead, or, you know, head to head against one another, it just goes to show that having those difference in preferences for which main tank you actually run can mean a lot. And I think that's actually going to come out quite a bit when we head into our next map, which will be King's Row, because King's Row is typically a Reinhardt favored map.
It'll be an interesting one. Again, the Zarya also a huge influence here, and we've seen this battle between Mija and Shy go, I would say, very 50-50 so far. I mean, honestly, you heard Panda talking about how Shy's placement level might not be completely on par, and Mija's looked pretty clean, but as we go into this one, as you mentioned, King's Row be where we go. Both teams have only played this map once. Both teams able to find wins on this map. But when you take a look at the hybrid, more importantly, both teams are 4-0, very comfortable on this mode variant. So it's hard to really, again, as we go through this set, and statistics are not really going to tell the tale because it just comes down to who's able to execute properly. Wow, it's going to be absolutely insane to see if it will be knotted up, or will T1W be able to put Bilibili on notice and put them down 0-2.
It could be one of those things where it just comes down to time bank and stuff like that if it ends up going to other rounds. I mean, judging by how close some of those control points were then, with constant flipping, especially at the beginning on Gardens, I'm actually very excited to see how King's Row is going to go. I think these are actually two very well-matched teams in terms of how they're aggressive, how, I don't know, both of their Zaryas are typically DPS players, you know, and they have a very similar way of thinking about how they're going to go about their actual dealing damage. Maybe the cooldown management with the bubbles and things like that are slightly different between Mija and Shy, but they're both not afraid to really get in there and get very close. Of course, I want to be looking for the differences between Hybe and Zijin. Hybe, of course, a lot more of a, you know, highly regarded off-tank, I'd say. You know, China is not the region of off-tanks, and Hybe really stands out. Zijin, he did manage to get some really great kills on Lijiang Tower, but I think especially on a hybrid map when there is so much more else that you need to be paying attention to, you know, you've got to be getting the point, you've got to have someone on the payload, you've got to have people to peel for your supports, you've got to have someone to swallow damage. Looking for how much these divas are doing is actually going to be quite a key part of how this map goes, I think.
Well, and just to kind of maybe set ourselves up as far as the support battles, why not hit all three categories of the team comp so far? We were sitting, and a lot of us were saying that Mika and Coldest are probably by far the best support duo here in Chinese Contenders, maybe with the exception of Mali and Langsa from the side of what's been going on with Lingyan Esports Huya. But for T1W, we and Illusion have been playing up to par, if not better than that of Bilibili. And again, as Panda hit on just previous to us getting into this map, this was a very big key to success of why T1W were able to find the sustain. But beyond that, a lot of the success when it came to those team fights at clutch moment.
They really have been playing very well. I mean, we did see that Coldest was building up his Transcendence a little bit faster than Weir, but actually, when we were spectating Weir, we also saw he was dealing so much damage into the enemy Reinhardt, into Over, and he was managing to find those angles that he required in order to, you know, bring him down, or at least bring him down to a very low damage, if not getting that elimination. And I think, yeah, it's very important that, especially with the Zenyatta in this kind of meta, we know that it's the Zenyatta's job to be putting those Discord orbs on the enemy Reinhardt and bringing them down, and consistently Silver 3 was not being killed. You know, he was being brought very, very low, and I'm very interested to keep an eye on Coldest to see if it's perhaps him not putting his orbs where he should be, or if it's more that BLG aren't as good as following up on it. But either way, these roles that you expect to see particularly come out from the flex supports aren't being quite as fulfilled on the side of Bilibili.
Indeed. And again, a couple of issues maybe perhaps for some of the players, or just, again, just apprehensive and waiting for this match to start. If you are just joining us, though, again, this is the battle for the top of Group A. Both teams sitting at 4-0. T1W currently up 1-0 against Bilibili. A lot riding on this as T1W, again, is that reigning champion from last season of Chinese Contenders. Bilibili has looked, at least so far, like possibly the stronger team in this group. Up until at least today, we would say that, as T1W have hit back very, very strongly. So a lot of things riding on this, and again, it just comes down to who do you end up playing in the playoffs, as both teams have secured. Will you be going up against Lucky Future, or will you find yourself in that quarterfinals matchup going up against Team CC? I'm sure both teams have a preference when it comes to those two, just based on the disparity between them. But again, that's counting your chickens before they hatch, as we still have to get through this set here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so hard to judge, like, what to expect from this because these teams are so close. You mentioned that they're both 4-0 on hybrid, which means that there's not already some, you know, preconceived idea as to who's going to do better. We spoke at the beginning about how BLG has only lost one map in the entire season. Well, they've just lost their second to T1W. We've discussed these tank matchups, and honestly, these things could go either way. They're so close in holistic skill, and they're both so aggressive that I don't want to make too much of a drastic prediction because I don't know what to expect. You know that I don't think there's any way it's going to be a stomp. No one's going to be held on first point, although curse of the caster, that may now happen.
Well, in their previous iterations on this map, again, only happening once for each team, they were able to complete fully and hold their opponents from completing the map. So if you want some reference there, young audience member, there it is for you. But here we come. It will be the offense starting things off for T1W. Molenran already finding a shield bash onto Over. Who is getting a little bit extra sustain this time through, but he does get slept from Coldest, who was able to find a nice biotic grenade. It will force a very interesting situation for T1W to have to back up just slightly. Bilibili looking to push on forward, but Over again is very low. Zijin as well, and Yakumo goes down first. So again, it will be advantage off the rip for T1W as they take down Shy. That's the biggest source of damage for Bilibili, and it should be cleaned up from here. The nano boost comes over to Over, but he's not able to self-sustain through it. Too many numbers, and T1W on their first attempt at A will secure the capture.
And that really goes to show how much power and force the T1W are coming into this with, because Ovo received that nano boost and almost straight away was taken down by Midya. We actually see Coldest now switching on over to the Zenyatta, not going to be sticking on the Ana, in which case it was a good thing that he got the nano boost in the first fight. But it does mean that T1W are going to be coming into the next fight with a hefty time bank of just over 5 minutes. That's insane.
Well, again, you see Ana sometimes defensively on King's Row because she can put down some cheeky biotic grenades, but now you look at the difference in the Zenyatas. That's what I want to turn your attention to, because Wea is almost at the Transcendence, and Coldest, having swapped over to the Zen, has to work from the base of 0. Midya will look to put the Graviton Surge down first, and that will be enough to win the fight, no problem. Again, there's no response for it for Billy. They don't even have Mika's sound barrier, so even if they wanted to contest this fight, they weren't going to be able to. T1W are going to roll this through to the right near the edge of the checkpoint for this second stage.
Bilibili, of course, didn't have those support ultimates available to them to protect themselves from the Graviton Surge, but I also saw nothing else come out. I didn't see a repair pack. I didn't see Shy put his projected barrier on anyone, let alone onto Over. It just allowed them to all kind of fall and die. And yes, it means they can come into this next fight sooner, but compared to the resources we're seeing from the other side, it's crazy.
Silver 3 was looking for a little bit of a bumper strategy. They're hiding, looking for a cheeky Earth Shatter, but does get figured out and taken down. But Midya, now with the support of the sound barrier for T1W, able to find Over again. But Zijin responds with the self-destruct sequence. Trades happening back and forth as our kill speed goes into pinstripe mode. Billy will force out a Transcendence, and that will be enough for them to hold for now. But it was a very expensive hold for Bilibili.
Well, you say they hold for now, but T1W are here again with the Earth Shatter.
Off the respawn, and that will be enough, likely, for them to find the second stage again with a very considerable time bank. Silver 3 with the Shatter coming in, and that will be enough for them to win the fight. But again, you take a look at the ultimates, it is very back and forth, but still over 5 minutes for T1W to figure out how to break this third point.
Honestly, Shift, I don't think it's going to take them much to figure it out. So far, it's been going pretty well, and that is invest all your resources into Silver 3 and just watch as Bilibili don't do all that much to protect themselves. But they're being quite aggressive here.
Oh, but Over gets caught again. The farm on Over has been open, and it is producing, at least for the side of T1W, trying to put down Shy's Graviton Surge, trying to wrangle this fight back, but each will respond with one of their own, and the trades are once again there. At least Silver 3 gets booped for now, but again, the numbers are just too good, so T1W are going to be able to push this payload even further close to that finish line.
They'll be able to push this far enough that by the time Silver 3 joins them, they should be able to clean up this fight easily. We want to be looking out for this Transcendence from Coldest to really hold up the team, but in that time, I want to see other ultimates coming online that they can use offensively to hold T1W back.
Over, not quite there to a Shatter yet. Silver very close. Self-destruct sequence to start things off, and charged in as Coldest. Shy gets taken down by the self-destruct sequence. T1W is absolutely manhandling Bilibili. There's been zero response whatsoever this map from Bilibili Gaming. That was a very swift and quick finish to King's Row for T1W. They are looking like that championship team that we saw last season against a very good adversary here.
T1W are making a mockery out of BLG, who so far have been completely leading the entire season.
Panda, I'm lost for words here. I gotta get your take on this because this is, I hate to say it, but it's been pretty ground shaking here as far as what T1W's been able to do to Bilibili.
Listen, I like seeing on point A defense just as much as the next guy shift, but it's just not going to work out when you're facing against T1W. T1W are quite literally disrespecting everything that BLG are trying to set up, and that's their shielding, that's their resource management, and they are just running over. If you take a look at the difference in how the resources are being managed, BLG are being forced into using them very reactively, keeping their backline alive from all the cleave damage that Silver 3 are finding, where T1W not finding that much pressure from underneath them. Hybe doing a fantastic job with the defensive matrix, and all the resources that are basically surrounded at keeping one member alive, whether it's the passive bubble to cleanse out the Discord orb and the shield bash when Silver 3 is actually hit with one. It's just setting up both Mija and Silver 3 for success time and time again. Silver 3 can quite literally get away with anything. He can go back there, take Coldis' lunch money, and then get all the way back to his team safely, just because of the resource management that T1W are exhibiting here. This is probably the best game that I've seen out of Mija since Doomfist was nerfed into the ground. And when you do play for the cleanse, regardless of it, you're gonna get the charge, and when you're not being eliminated, you're gonna be able to keep that charge and continuously cycle Graviton Surge.
Well, Panda, thank you so much. Again, this is, like I mentioned, is rattling us to the bones here, Geo, as Bilibili in a tough situation. Look at that time pick. 3:51 was the finish time for T1W. And again, you just take a look at this front line. They're getting so aggressive for Bilibili. They're getting punished every single time. Over in trouble again, gets taken down. He's been the first blood almost every single fight for T1W. They're doing a great job at separating him from the rest of the team.
I mean, not only are Bilibili not that great at holding Over up and keeping him alive, but they're also allowing T1W to infiltrate in amongst themselves and actually not split them up by having them on separate parts of the map, but split them up by standing in between members of the team, and that just allows them to bring them down even quicker.
And now the ultimate charge is favoring the defense. Taken down very low as Mija, but able to get out of dodge and get back to at least half HP, now back to full. We just got Transcendence. Coldest as well. What will be used first? It's the rally from T1W and BLG. Again, you can see their health pools just fluctuating so hard. They will pop a rally of their own. What will potentially be charged next? Shy has a Graviton Surge, but is low. Needs to stay healthy. He is able to drop it into place. At least Mija is this time around. The Transcendence will hold things through. Bilibili able to find Silver, who tried to charge through the Transcendence, not able to find any success. And Bilibili, what seems to be the first time since Lijiang Tower on the second set, will actually win a team fight and set themselves up for success here at A.
Yeah, and it's so worth noting that the reason they won the team fight is because they brought down Silver 3, this key member of T1W who's been so protected, but now he's back, they're actually trying to contest.
And Silver was able to lock down at least one with the Earthshatter self-destruct sequence, though, taking down Eren and Bilibili. Oh, man, it was close for a second there, but they're able to sustain themselves through the Earthshatter, went out with the self-destructs. Brilliant play from Zijin that time around, being the clutch factor that Bilibili desperately needed to get the momentum back in fashion.
Leaving Over here to pick up the payload. Not usually the Reinhardt's responsibility, but we'll go along with it. But T1W coming out to contest that again, just going to show how confident they are and how much they feel that they can hold themselves up in a team fight even though they technically lost. It's crazy, and you know, they're going to be coming in with the self-destruct and so close to that Graviton Surge. Bilibili Gaming are going to be hoping to get these support ultimates fast enough in this fight that they can rely on them for their own safety.
Shy's Graviton Surge, there's no Transcendence to respond to this, so this will likely be the only ultimate needed, and that was what I was about to say, was Billy needs to win this team fight quickly, decisively. Don't let T1W get any more charge. Wuya was so close to a Transcendence, and that could have been there for the response, but now Shy, moving forward, he would love to start farming up for another Graviton Surge as quick as possible.
He's only got 46 or so charge, so he does need to start using those bubbles to build it up a little bit, otherwise he's not really going to get all that much ultimate charge off the back of it. T1W starting to come in now. Looking like Midgie is going to get ready to use this Graviton Surge.
But he's at 0% charge. So again, is the damage going to be able to be there in time? Rally is utilized. There it is, the Graviton Surge in place. Shatter comes down in response and puts Midgie on his back. Self-destruct sequence in the backline. Will not find any kills, but the support ultimates do stack up for Bilibili. They're just using everything to try to win this point out, but T1W has not fallen yet, and they're able to come back with Silver 3 Shatter, and that will be enough to take down Mika. And Zijin, can he be the hero again? He's got self-destruct sequence in hand, over falling low. Shy's so close to the Graviton Surge, but he gets taken down by Hy-Vee, and it looks like T1W defense will hold on. If you're Bilibili, you'd love to have that fight back because they absolutely stacked Mika and Coldest support ultimates on top of one another, and they're not able to sustain for long enough. T1W winning the fight.
That is very painful when you lose both your support ults, and they were relying so hard on the fact that they stunned out Silver 3, so he couldn't necessarily cleave or use a charge into the Earth Shatter, but of course so many members of T1W just quite handily around to deal the damage and finish up the fight for themselves. So it didn't quite go their way. Now they're going to make another rotation around the side here, but T1W are waiting for them.
Shy so close to the Graviton Surge, but again at 0% charge. Now will help over to get it back through. Do you use this early? Need to be able to win this fight at some point in time. Silver very low will be taken down. The Graviton Surge is good enough to find one self-destruct sequence overhead. Won't find any eliminations, but Coldest will clean things up. Everybody else starting to chime in for Bilibili, and they're doing a nice job of cleaning things up. This will be the second stage completed with some significant time, but it'll be close as far as will they be able to actually be close enough to T1W. Again, they had 3 minutes and 51 seconds for their finish time. Yeah,
they're already in this disadvantageous position, but we did see Bilibili Gaming, they actually targeted a little bit better in that last fight. We saw Discord orbs on the right people, and hopefully this is a positive going forward as they enter into this next fight.
Graviton Surge for Mija, met with the Transcendence though for Bilibili over very low. He will be able to get the Earth Shatter down, and he's able to get re-sustained immediately back up. Yakumo's rally was good for the effort, but Bilibili have no more resources in the ultimate bank to try to contest this, so they have to try to find a way to force out more from T1W. Silver, understanding his advantage, wants to try to push in for an Earth Shatter, but still has to be very careful around this little corner. If he gets caught out, it could spell a very successful opportunity for Bilibili. Both teams still poking and prodding, waiting for the first go call. Shy has the Graviton Surge ready to go, but he gets taken down from the Earth Shatter from Silver, who's able to follow up nicely, and that'll be enough for T1W to likely hold on. But as I say that, Mija and Silver actually do go down to Zijin, who's been this hero, and all of a sudden, BLG can keep contesting and keep pushing his payload inches forward.
They managed to do it and push T1W back a little bit. 4 members on the payload, but of course the spawn for T1W is right there, and they can just come straight back out again. No ultimates on the board, but it shouldn't take them long to build up a number of them. So this is Bilibili's game to lose.
Self-destruct sequence will allow Over to move on forward. He wanted to find a charge, but actually gets stunned in the back. He's able to stay alive as Coldest is forced to use the Transcendence. Mija close to the Graviton Surge, 70% to the charge for it. Over low again. Now the sound barrier has to be utilized. They do find Silver 3, so Bilibili with an opportunity to find the win here. If they can find maybe one more elimination. Self-destruct sequence goes up. Silver blocks it, but it does break his shield. Charge coming in. Mija able to throw down the Graviton Surge, and there's enough damage here as they take down Over plus Shy. And at the nick of time, it looks like T1W, unless Zijin has more heroics in the tank, will likely be able to hold on. He's found himself an elimination plus a D-back, but that's not going to be enough. T1W holding on for now.
So importantly here, Bilibili invested ultimates into that fight. Over is going to come in with the Earth Shatter, but so is Silver 3. So, you know, this is going to be pretty nerve-wracking. They've got to basically play who is going to get the Earth Shatter first and who's going to get the most value out of it. Hopefully they can build up their Transcendence to help them in with the engage, but this is going to be very close as they have less than a minute to go shift.
We are very close to a Transcendence, so is Coldest. Essentially mirror matchups here for the ultimates at hand, including the compositions that we're dealing with. Over again, getting aggressive, misses the Earth Shatter, gets blocked out completely. He's almost off the map too. Mija so close to getting that Graviton Surge in hand. Transcendence used early for Coldest. They need to find a way to win, does Bilibili quickly, but Over will be taken down by Silver 3, and now it's just absolute gas pedal for T1W, not even needing to use any ultimates. That's high value defensive wins for T1W.
And Shy got brought down before he even had a chance to use the Graviton Surge, so it's just a question now if there's even going to be enough time for him to attempt to use it, or if they're going to be fast enough to actually get their feet on the payload and have enough members of their team to actually put up a fight, especially as T1W are holding so far forward here.
One of these divas could eat a Graviton Surge. That might be win condition.
There we go.
Ninja able to drop down one. A lot of players low. Noah's self-sustaining ultimates coming through, and that will be it. T1W able to clean things up very nicely. Just have to clean up the scraps of the fight. Able to push around Zijin, who will be demech. T1W look to be able to hold in overtime unless any desperate swaps could come through. As overtime is still ticking down, but no one's going to be able to touch in time. T1W win Kings Row with the hold. They go up 2-0 against what was currently, before this set, the favorite in Bilibili.
A map type that they'd never been defeated on, and now Bilibili, they have their first loss on it. It's gotta feel bad. It's gotta feel bad.
Well, Panda's got a lot to say, I'm sure, as we're starting to get a clearer picture of what T1W has been able to offer, and, well, I guess more so Bilibili not able to offer. Interested to hear your take here, Panda.
It's what both teams are offering. In fact, too, what I mentioned coming off of Control here, especially for Lijiang Tower, is how T1W are playing. All resources are going into Silver 3, including the bubble, the repair pack, defense matrix on them continuously. So Bilibili going all the way through, all the way towards the second capture point, is disrespecting all of the shielding. This is what you need out of Bilibili Gaming. They have never faced anybody as aggressive as them, and that's what T1W is bringing to the table. You need to continuously push forward and just absolutely just... You just can't care. You can't back down in these fights. That's what Reinhardt 3-3 is all about. It's a super Reinhardt composition. He is the president in the composition, and you need to set up greater for success. And when you're doing so, you are actually going to make T1W overinvest ultimates time and time again. Take back that fight that happened towards the second capture point, as we get a couple highlights here loading momentarily for you all. When Mika and Coldest ended up stacking their support ultis just to keep BLG in the fight, it forced T1W to overinvest even that much further, where they pulled in 2 to 4 ultimates. T1W ended up pulling in at about 5, maybe even, and only holding in about 1. Both Wyatt and Coldest, they're putting on an absolute show today. I'm not about the Zarya, it's not about the Divas, man, but setting up both of these frag Yadas time and time again, that's what you want to see coming out from both of these teams. Bilibili Gaming just backing down ever so slightly and having that third point defender's favor, finding a lot of good cleave damage on that opening wall as they were just walking in, just setting up Silver 3 for success. Always had an Earth Shatter in that last final moment, well before Over even thought about getting that final 10% charge.
I definitely have to agree with what you said, especially about you know, the shields and stuff constantly backing up. In fact, at one point I saw Shy give over a bubble while he was still holding up his shield, and I was thinking, well, you're not going to get anything off the back of that. So I think you're right. They just have sort of a fundamental misunderstanding of how the Reinhardt is supposed to be managed.
Well, there's been a lot of question marks, I would say more so for Bilibili than T1W. Their backs are up against the wall. They have to reverse sweep if they want to have a chance to finish up top. T1W 1 map away, or a draw away, actually, from securing themselves as the best team in Pool A before we get to the playoffs. Join us just after this for map number 3. Welcome back. We had some technical difficulties, and well, Bilibili did not put up much of a fight on their first defense, and now as they come into Hanamura on attack, they are looking pretty solid to start things off, as they are currently winning the first engagement here, Geo, and it looks like they might be able to put the same kind of pace up that T1W was, which is going to be very needed because 6 minutes and 33 seconds is a looming total for T1W.
T1W did their attack in literally a couple of minutes. So the fact that Bilibili are setting this similar precedent going into point B now is really big, not only for their confidence, but also for their chances at this series as they are down 2 maps.
Again, our deepest apologies for missing it, but things are out of our control. Now it looks like Shy trying to put himself in a position to open things up. Still some time to go here, but they're looking to snowball. They don't have any ultimates yet, do Bilibili. Shy very close to a Graviton Surge, and Wii is nowhere near a Transcendence, so this could be potentially free. There it is, able to put it down and locks down the entire front line, immediately debacked, and now taking down the rest of the frontliners is Coldest and the rest of the gang. A 6-on-2, and it looks like this will be a snowball situation as Bilibili still have ultimates to spend. Here comes the rally. They still have a Shatter, not even gonna need it. Woo, very back and forth we go here on Hanamura. A scrappy battle as both teams dominate their offense.
And both of those teams finishing their fight within just about 20 seconds of one another. They both managed to do it very, very quickly. It's pretty insane. You're right. Snowballing is probably the right way to call it.
Well, looking more like an avalanche than just your normal snowball fight here. But again, just our deepest apologies. We're just dealing with what we're getting from the Chinese broadcast. So things that are, again, just a little bit out of our control when it comes down to it. But honestly, let's just go ahead and just reset this map completely because both teams are going to have 6+ minutes for their next round. So really, we're going to be getting this from essentially page 1 once again.
Yeah, it's pretty much just going to be going from the get-go. It's actually more time than you would have on a normal assault map, which you start with at 4 minutes. So, I mean, even better. But at this point, it wouldn't shock me if they just managed to keep doing it over and over. I mean, okay, how you said you're a betting man. How much would you want to bet that it goes to something ridiculous like 10 rounds?
You cannot put me on the spot like this, Geo.
It happens.
There's so much time for both of these teams, and neither team has put up anywhere near a formidable defense yet. Again, I say yet. We've seen this kind of go back and forth, and once one team has an ultimate advantage, it's typically gone in their favor. So you take a look at the 633 playing up against the 625. Bilibili just a touch short of what the pace that T1W was able to set, so they will come back up on offense once again, and they're going to dive right in. Again, Over wants to play aggressive, and the rest of his team seem to be supporting that mindset now. Shy able to do what he can to try to keep Silver 3 pinned into a corner, but again, he's at very low charge. The resource management, like Panda and you have both brought up, again, seems to not quite be there as far as full efficiency. Bilibili will go into the slight little pagoda area and try to work the backside of the point.
Yeah, they're going to be making that rotation because sometimes it's the easiest way to do rather than taking main, but actually they're just hanging around in the courtyard a bit here rather than making that full rotation shift.
Well, very scrappy fight breaking out as you can see just both players in the front line very, very low. Silver 3 goes down, but so does Over. The kills do favor that of Bilibili, but there are still low health pools here. Shy, very high charge, needs to clean things up and do it quickly. Looks like he will be able to do so on some high priority targets. It's just the support line left. One more little Kobe shot on the Wuya will take him down. Now it's just trying to clean up the Zarya, which they'll do. Again, it is important to note, you might notice if you're just joining in, or maybe if you were here before, Assassin was subbed in for Media, and T1W has put up a considerably less defensive fight because of it so far.
Well, Bilibili managing to take the point fairly decisively there after Shy managed to jump on and get some of his buddies along for the ride with him and bring down a few members of T1W. But now it's going to be the job for them to actually break through into point B here. And something you have to take into account is the fact that T1W have seen their attack once. They're going to kind of have an idea of what to expect. And so Bilibili are going to have to change things up a little bit.
Ikumo starting things off with the rally. Eren not quite there to his yet. Eren, though, able to find the whip shot and just Shy to take him down. That's a big target through, which will essentially be an assassin. Could probably hold on to this Graviton Surge, as it will be just a soft reset for Bilibili. They'll back up as soon as Shy was taken down, but they'll also lose Over in the exchange.
Well, they do have some ultimates coming into the next fight, but also so do T1W, and so this is where you start to have these fights where it really comes down to who can use their ultimates more efficiently, and who can get more value out of them. And so far, Over has not necessarily been the king of the Earth Shatters, so this could be something to be concerned about.
Nearly the 6-pack of ultimates, though, for T1W, just waiting on Illusion to charge up. the sound barrier, which he should be able to do no problem. Over will put himself on the point, waiting for the rest of the team to come in and support him. This has been the trend so far, is that he typically gets caught a little bit out. Yakumo gets taken down very early, and well, T1W, you've got a very stark advantage, and they've already forced Bilibili out. You can save every single ultimate. Yakumo, meanwhile, had used that rally just previously, so you're looking at just the 4 ultimates for Bilibili. The big key, again, is the simple fact that T1W still have so many resources to use for the defense.
Yeah, they were able to take that defense without really investing all that much. They did, of course, use the rally, but also crucially is, even though Bilibili weren't around for very long, that still would have been the tipping point for a number of these members of T1W to kind of get the rest of the percentage they required in order to actually get their ultimates, and for Zarya build up some charge. So there is just under 4 minutes left on the clock, but Bilibili can't keep trying the same thing over and over again and smashing their head into this brick wall. They're going to have to invest something if the dry fights just aren't working out for them.
And they haven't been working out for them so far, and Shy has not been doing very well getting his own charge up, not only on the Graviton Surge, but on his main weaponry as well. Over will, again, lead the Vanguard forward, drawing the line in the sand with his shield. Will be pushed around, and actually, that's going to be an opportunity for Silver to hit the backline with his Shatter, thanks to that boop that came through, and now it's just all clean up. Assassin hits the trigger on the Graviton Surge. Full team wipe will likely follow behind it. But Wuya did use the Transcendence in this exchange, as Over did hit an Earth Shatter of his own, so that was one support ultimate taken off the table for T1W.
But beautifully orchestrated there by T1W, using that boop onto Over to get him out the way, to stop his shield from being there to protect his team, landing in the Earth Shatter, and then of course there was the Graviton Surge that came out, and it just ate them all up so quickly. But, I mean, Bilibili still have ultimates on the table, and I want to see them use them. You can't be holding on to ultimates this long in the hopes that the next fight's just going to be better.
Shy, again, has not been doing well with his charge, still waiting on a Graviton Surge. Assassin, having used this previously, only at 22%. Bilibili looking to posture now from the main area. Will put another bubble down, but again, you can see it. Over still has his shield up, not utilizing it to the fullest potential whatsoever. T1W, do they have a potential to open up Silver through with another Shatter? Graviton Surge comes in, but again, Shy not nearly at full charge, and Assassin's actually able to one to find the first elimination. That's on to Mika, who's not able to get his sound barrier out. Zijin, can you be the hero again with the self-destruct? Not this time. Now Silver 3 pushes forward after hitting the Earth Shatter through. Will try to charge his opponent, but Over's actually the one to find the charge. Not going to make a difference. T1W are going to hold on to this defense, no problems.
It looks to me here like Shy is trying so hard to be this playmaker, dealing so much damage, which of course you expect the Zarya to be the member on the team who is dealing the most damage. But even when members of his team are going down, he's still hanging around a little bit in hopes that he can get some value out of it. We saw it on point A when he maintained his stance on the point to try and get those ticks, and we're seeing it now where even when, you know, his comrades, his allies are being killed, he's still hanging around to try and build up his charge and to try and deal damage, get closer and closer to the Graviton Surge. But the question is that good enough? Can he actually do that on his own, or should he be putting more attention into coordinating with his team? Is that where their downfall is?
Shatter coming from the top rope. Bilibili looking to start things off, but Assassin able to drop it. The Graviton Surge will be sustained by Billy, but Shy does fall. So again, this heads-up Zarya v Zarya battle. Shy has not found success against Pichette, but more importantly, he's not finding success against the substitute, an Assassin who cleans up 2 at nearly full charge. This is one of the biggest mismatches in top echelon teams in Contenders China that we've seen so far in the Zarya v Zarya battle. This needs to be cleaned up flat out from Bilibili.
And so quickly, that plethora of time that was there on the board has come down to just about half a minute, and Bilibili are no closer to getting point B. They still don't even have a tick on the board. It could be that they have to end up using this Transcendence from Coldest to actually engage and make it onto the point and bring the fight to T1W, but then they have to face the wrath of T1W's ult bank.
Shy now, okay, maybe a little bit of redemption here. He takes down Assassin early, an opportunity to move forward. You have to obviously win this fight. Earth Shatter coming through, not able to find anything from Silver, locking everyone into place is the Shy, but where's the damage? It's really quite not there yet. Transcendence starting to fade away for Wuya, and now with the opportunity for Bilibili to make the full conversion happen, or at least find some progress on the point. Overtime is here. Illusion trying to delay and stay alive for as long as possible, as the entire front line for T1W has been fallen through. Wrecking Ball for the desperate swap will come into play. Sound Barrier also be utilized, but it's going to be over with the Earth Shatter. Not quite able to find as many targets as I think he wanted to, but regardless, the numbers too strong for Bilibili. It took them a while, Geo, but they will find the 4th point. But again, is it at too steep of a time break? Because it was 6 minutes plus that they had. They weren't quite able to clean things up. Quick thoughts for you before we head to a break.
They did manage to do it, but with 0 seconds left to go, so I don't really know how much that can be cheered, especially when T1W are yet to do their next attack.
We'll see. We'll head things to a quick break. We seem to have things at least starting to be ironed out from our technical side of things, so let us get re-synced up, and we'll be back with the continuation here on Hanamura just after this. Back in the game we come, and it will be T1W now on the offense with a lot of time to play with. Their first push has been at least thwarted for now, as Bilibili were able to hold on and just essentially get the soft reset out of T1W. Looking to recontest as they come back into the mix. Over already has an Earth Shatter. We'll try to drop it. He does hit a couple of players, but it's not before Yakumo goes down first. The charge into Muya is good. The Graviton Surge from Shy was also able to lock in a couple of players, and now Over taking over the reins as he's able to clean things up. This is the more composed Bilibili gaming that we've seen in the last 4 weeks.
This is what we like to see, and I'm also really happy that they managed to find value out of those ultimates, because what you typically see on this defense here is the defending team will occupy the high ground, which is something Bilibili didn't do. And I saw Hybe jump up there, and I was thinking this is not a good position to be in, but they managed to get really good value out of those ultimates. They still have some ready for this next engagement. This is the sort of fight I like to see.
Oh, and once again, Over has another Earth Shatter that catches a couple players off guard. The Transcendence is using for both teams. No eliminations yet. Zijin He's been really, really solid with these self-destructs. We'll throw one up in the air. The sound barrier, is there enough sustain there? It sure is, but now it comes down to Assassin with the sound, or the Graviton Search. Shy will use one of his own. The damage goes back and forth, but it's this down to a 3v4. Zijin able to clean up Booyah. That's a big pick, but there's just 2 frontliners here. Can they actually sustain through this? It's Reinhardt on Reinhardt. It's Diva on Diva, and it looks like T1W will come out the victor simply due to the respawn proximity, and they will start to make some progress here at A.
T1W did put Bilibili in a position there where they felt they had to use their sound barrier, which meant that by the time the Graviton Surge came out, the sound barrier had been used a little bit too early, and so they all actually fell to the damage that was being dealt into that, which was really key for T1W to actually be able to find success in that fight there. So they'll be coming in, making this classic rotation up here, same as pretty much every team that ever plays GOATs on this map ever. The crucial thing is Bilibili don't have any ultimates.
Silver 3, though, does have an Earth Shatter. Will he potentially use it early? Trying to bait. Over is getting some time to charge up one of his own. Earth Shatter misses as he gets booked actually over the pillar. So now all of a sudden an opportunity for Bilibili to respond. Over able to hit his Earth Shatter. It takes down 2 illusion falls. The Transcendence not in time for Muya. High B will try for a self-destruct sequence. It's not going to hit. The Transcendence fades away. T1W still in contest. And do they have any frontliners here for Bilibili to really contest this? Yakumo gets focused down and taken out. The Transcendence not in time to keep him alive. Shy again. Where is he? He needs to be prevalent as Assassin. Again, the substitute from T1W doing a great job of getting high charge up to 100%, putting the microwaves there, but Zijin, the hero once again to find Assassin and Muya. That will be enough to push T1W back, just as they had found 2 ticks plus some change.
I think T1W weren't perhaps expecting to have to use their Transcendence when they did, because they weren't expecting the Earth Shatter to go wrong. And then Bilibili didn't look like they were going to be too aggressive in their defense and ended up letting T1W get 2 ticks. But of course that self-destruct coming in from Zijin at the end there just cleared up what they had to, leaving T1W to come in and make yet another engage. But importantly, they have 3 minutes on the board, which is plenty of time to take this point if they do it methodically.
And they're very close to having a 6-pack of ultimates, just waiting on the frontliners. Heidi, mini stunned out. Shy will drop the Graviton Surge. Is there damage to follow up with this? Over wants to try to get involved, but the sound barrier is there for T1W, and they're able to trade this one back in their favor. T1W able to find 4 eliminations, looking just to clean things up. A very desperate sound barrier here. Coldest has a Transcendence. He's going to have to use it just to contest. Can Over find a Shatter? That's what you're going to need. He gets taken down before he can hit the trigger. T1W now with one of their own. They'll start to clean things up, and it looks like T1W will likely find themselves their 4th point as well. The very annoying May will be played, but everything had been utilized, and the 3rd tick of progress comes out. Nice little whip shot to make sure Over can't touch or draw it up for a piece.
I'm sorry, Shy. The emergency Doomfist may have worked in Lijiang Tower, but it wasn't going to work here when you brought it out at the end. And I think the really key thing there was the double Graviton Surge that we ended up seeing, because it actually prevented Bilibili being able to cleave into the Graviton Surge that they had laid down for T1W, and so no damage was being dealt. And by the time that T1W were freed from their own Graviton Surge, they were able to reciprocate and deal in the damage to Bilibili. And they only had 1 tick left to get, so it didn't take them long to just jump back down, and then it was Bilibili's trickle game.
Can we coin that as a phrase? The trickle game. You can write a book on the trickle game.
Feel free, but I don't want credit for it.
Okay, fair enough. A little bit of a mismatch as we are again seeing this to a bunch of our surprises. Bilibili will be putting up a better fight here, but again, we're in a spot where T1W has been the one throwing most of the punches, and while they've been connecting with a lot of them, Over has been, I would say, one of the bigger mismatches. But as we're seeing that mismatch kind of play out, we're also seeing the fact that Shy has not looked super great on the Zarya so far today. This is the first time we've really been able to criticize him simply because he has been looking so polished throughout the rest of the season. But again, the caveat to that, playing a little devil's advocate, is the simple fact that this is the biggest test that Bilibili has faced so far this season. So now as we go back into game, 2 minutes and 24 seconds for T1W to find 1 tick of progress. The worst case scenario is a draw, which would essentially mean that T1W would win this match. So looking to finish this off and make it a 3-0 just for the scoreboard.
There's going to be a lot of pressure here on Bilibili, because you say worst case scenario is a draw. That's for T1W. Best case for Bilibili is a draw. That's not a position you want to be in, but it means that there's so much pressure onto them to prevent the enemy team from getting 1 tick in just 2 minutes of time. That's not a lot of, well, there's plenty of time to get 1 tick. But it's pressure. It's pressure shift.
Well, let's see what happens here as T1W's first push, not so successful. Bilibili, again, over, playing aggressively, has himself an Earth Shatter very quickly, in fact. Here we go. Trying to find a way to dive on in. Ran will give out the repair pack and try to push through, looking for a shield bash. Won't be able to find the target to utilize it on. So T1W just prodding for positioning, and looks like with the health pools being as low as they are, they will back up for a small moment, reset themselves. See if they can bait out potentially Over's or Cheddar. They might figure he has it. He's playing this cheeky corner right on the outside of these front doors. Does get shield bashed through, but a nice bubble comes through. The Earth Shatter does connect. Now the charge pin able to connect onto Silver 3. And that will be, once again, a nice defensive hold for Bilibili.
Yeah, they may have actually put him in a position where that Earth Shadow was even better because they stunned him, they booped him, and then he had this direct linear line of sight down which he could send that Earth Shadow and obviously bring Silver 3 down. And now there's really not that much time left for T1W, under a minute in fact, and so far they haven't been able to push through what Bilibili have here defending right at this choke point.
A lot of ultimates for Bilibili. Assassin, though, very close to having Graviton Surge. It will start things off, though, for Bilibili. Shay able to drop his in first. Siege in with the self-destruct sequence. Assassin will drop his in two. Transcendences for both teams. A lot of exchange back and forth. No eliminations yet. So what will come in the secondary form of this fight? Illusion does have a sound barrier. So does Mika. This comes down to who can find the first bit of damage needed. Over, caught in a corner. He's going to get bullied around. The sound barrier keeping alive for a small time, but the target prioritization too good for T1W, and they are starting to clean things up as there are, again, very low health pools for Bilibili, and this will surely be the one tick of progress that is needed to complete the map. Just comes down to cleaning up the support line, which is all that's left for Bilibili. T1W putting China on notice, as they will find this tick of progress and, of course, solidify the 3-0 so far, which will give them the set win definitively. But we still will play all 4 maps just for the map differential totals.
It was really some perfectly placed plasma mortars there from Assassin that brought Bilibili from a team that looked pretty sustainable and like they were holding a strong defense to some very low HP pools, forcing out that sound barrier, and then of course Over fell down, and that's where it was pretty much done.
Well, Panda, let's get your take on this one. To wrap up Hanamura, a very scrappy battle between both teams.
Regardless of missing the initial captures there, solidifying a more than plethora of time. Let's not forget, you start this entire map with 4 minutes, y'all. But both teams ending up getting a whole map reset with 6 or plus minutes. And you're just going to see Bilibili Gaming actually getting outgamed in this point. And T1W playing their game quite effectively indeed, and they're making sure that Shy and Yakumo are feeling the chronic amount of pressure too. BLG were able to adapt and persevere, but still showing the same problems in previous maps. They could win these fights more decisively if Shy plays more composed and waits for the bubble timings to present itself. T1W would be less able then to run over BLG's front line. You all saw it too, Zijin self-destructs. The proper use of the defense matrix was the only thing keeping Over alive more often than not from good support ultimate usage, but just that 2-second defense matrix. That's when that comes down to Yakumo putting out the armor pack out too early, and that's when T1W recognize their opening, and then they go absolutely hamburgers and just roll over your front line.
That's actually something really worth noting, as you mentioned how the support line not necessarily using their ultimates at the right point. And we hark on about how Mika and Coldest are really, really good support duo, but their old team, Flag Gaming, weren't a GOATS team. They're not necessarily used to actually running that or utilizing their abilities and their ultimates in a way that is ideal for a GOATS meta. And yes, they've done fairly well this season thus far, but when put against a team that is equally as good, if not better than them at this composition, that seems to be where they're kind of crumbling.
Well, it's been a very decisive battle here. T1W, again, will be your victors in this set. And, of course, I guess we'll call it the champions of Pool A. But they'll be the number 1 seed coming through. So we'll be back in just a moment with map number 4 just after this. Welcome back, everybody. I hold shift with Geo. We are here in our final map of the regular season portion of Chinese Contenders. Of course, playoffs coming in just a couple of weeks, but this was a battle for Group A, and I say was because T1W have come up on top, up 3-0 in, I would say again, just to re-hit it one more time, very surprising fashion considering the performance that Bilibili has had throughout the last 4 weeks of the regular season. T1W, their only resiliency thus far has come up against LGD. It was a 3-2 set then. But here against Bilibili, they look like they're more than equal to the test of their, I would say, counterparts here in the group.
Definitely. One thing that we mentioned in the pregame was how clean Bilibili Gaming's GOATS has been all throughout this season, and T1W's hasn't been as strong as theirs was last season. They put in a lot of work last season to actually be able to match up to Team CC, and now it's a complete turn of tides. Maybe T1W's been hiding this all along. I don't know, but actually we haven't had a 4-0 today, and so far this is looking like the most likely series where we might see that. Don't want to talk too soon, but T1W with these 3 points on the board, with Bilibili not having won anything, their cooldown management hasn't been as good. We mentioned how this was a big play of the 2 best main tanks, but so far Over has just been completely in Silver 3 shadow. Even the supports, who we say Mika and Cold is the best Chinese support line, Coldest compared to Weir in terms of Discord placement and things like that, it's really not what I expected, and I'm kind of want to wake up now.
Well, the only player that really we've been able to talk about in consideration when it comes to how well they played has been Zijin, who has been looking really, really solid thus far on the Diva play, as you mentioned in that pivotal battle between him and Hybe on the off-tank role of that Diva so far. But again, we will be going into map number 4. It'll be the pure escort mode, of course, to finish things off. And again, you hit it, and I have to echo it, the fact that we have seen a lot of games here that we thought would be 4-0s. The last one we would have expected to go in that fashion is this one here. As T1W and Bilibili we had pinned up to be a very good set. You see the scores of how they've gone so far if you're just joining in with us. Junkertown will be our final map. It could provide a lot of craziness, but again, I don't know if we'll see anything too out of the ordinary. Not 100% sure as far as if Assassin will be staying in for T1W. He was the substitute for Mija back in map number 3. We'll take a look to see what they're rolling out here as we get ready for map number 4.
It'll be very interesting. Now, I'm really hoping, because Junkertown is the sort of map where, especially on the first point, you do get some slightly different compositions. I'm really hoping for them, but I'm not too confident, given that we know what these teams like to play. I mean, I can see a Hanzo in the spawn, but it's probably just for Sonic Arrow purposes. I can see a Widowmaker 2 playing with my heart, switched over to a Zarya. I knew it. But actually, I can see a Roadhog on defense and an Orisa. Shift, this is great.
Looking at something very different here, and again, we are playing on the patch just before Baptiste is introduced, so of course that 3-3 meta that we are so familiar with for many reasons is more of the prevalent compositions. But yeah, a very different setup here for Bilibili. Shy will be playing on the Widow, Ikumo with the Hanzo. Double Sniper is set up with the solo support of Mika on the Mercy. And the Coldest, like you mentioned, on the Roadhog, as it will be going into a traditional 3-3 GOATS composition for T1W. A lot of success thus far, but Yakumo is finding a lot of damage as he just keeps poking and prodding. He's able to find a little couple of poke shots here and there. Very close to already having 65% towards the the Dragon Strike. It's Shy. It just comes down to will they be able to find enough damage to find a first elimination, because so far it's been eluding them, and T1W is pushing through this first choke point relatively easily.
Well, that first choke point is often a point of there
it is.
We are by is often a point of contention for the attacking team. It can be very easy to get stuck underneath it, but T1W were very decisive in making their rotation to go back up to the higher ground, jump down onto Bilibili, and dislodge them from their positioning. And now they've been picking them off.
Trying to clean up the last couple of scraps here. Pilot Diva taken down. It looks like the Lucio will escape to tell the tale. An Illusion will just re-corral everyone back and spawn and try to get everyone back as quickly as possible to recontest. Dragon Strike was previously used for Ikumo. Didn't really find much, but he's 50% to another. Infrasight had also been popped in it, and Over now actually playing on the Wrecking Ball as he wanted to get back into the fight. So again, a very versatile comp, not only because of what's being used damage-wise, but also what the front line looks like for Bilibili.
I am a fan of this Wrecking Ball compositional choice, because with the Orisa, you really rely on having one static position. I mean, Coldest going straight down there to Hybe.
Big opportunity for T1W to convert on the 6-on-5 situation. Able to stun up the Wrecking Ball, able to roll right back out. Mika is able to get Coldest back though, so good distraction for Bilibili to allow the res to come through. Now a full 6-on-6 Dragon Strike combined with the pile driver, but the speed boost allows T1W to get out with also the sound barrier for sustain. A nice snipe from the Fire Strike will take down Yakumo, but pulled into danger as Ran back and forth. The eliminations go, looking to finalize this front line, but T1W able to convert not only the Graviton Surge, but also the Transcendence into the mix, and it looks like that'll be enough to secure the fight. T1W just needed to clean up the Diva, and they'll be on their merry way to finishing the first stage.
Yeah, that was pretty risky at the end there by Bilibili. They were just too close to T1W, who were able to overwhelm them. But for the most part of that attack, you know, people like Shy, who was on the Widowmaker, were far back enough that T1W can't make a dive. It's not like they have a Winston, and they're not going to completely turn their attention just to one Widowmaker in the back, and that was really why it was working out for him. But now they've switched on over back to this typical Rien 3-3 to take it straight to their faces.
Oh, and really good position here for Bilibili as they're able to push over Silver 3 very easily and knocked a couple players off the high ground as well. So they will force T1W back towards their spawns and just poke and peek at them as they regroup as a full 6. But you have to be careful here for Bilibili. You don't want to be caught out as Silver 3 does have an Earth Shatter, the only ultimate available on the table between our 12 players in the mix, and that's really the only thing even all that close. Ran going to be able to try to get the rally going, but the Earth Shatter comes through. Not able to find anything with it though, and now all of a sudden Shy at very full charge can start to push back, and he finds the first elimination on the Ran. It just comes down to making sure Over stays alive, and the extra damage comes through. Shy finding 2, looking for the Particle Mortar for the 3rd, but it looks like Diva will be able to thrust away. No such escape though in the mix for Silver 3, and this is Bilibili's defense looking very solid here at the opening checkpoint here for stage 2.
That positioning that Bilibili were exhibiting there was really key, because it means that you're ready to meet the attacking team regardless of which route they decide to take. If they go underneath, then you have the high ground, you can jump down onto them. If they go up through the high ground up the stairs, then you're right there in front of them opposite the small entryway.
Assassin looking to get full charge, will actually drop in the Graviton Surge. That's an immediate fight when coming actually out for the side of Bilibili, as Shia is able to put one down. Assassin not pulling the trigger yet, and it looks like he's just going to hold on to this. Again, near 100% charge was Shy. A lot of damage being confirmed. It just comes down to staggering out the Zarya for as long as possible. Nice little whip shot to push him away, and big body blocks onto Assassin. Those are things you love to see for Bilibili, essentially saying, yeah, we know what you guys did to us in the first 3, but why not just show off as far as what we're able to do. Over able to hit a lot with the Earth Shatter, will charge through Ran. The Transcendence also being utilized, and now Bilibili, a rare instance of them actually spawn camping T1W.
I wasn't quite so sure about the Transcendence coming out from Coldest there, whether it was just so they could try and be a little bit more aggressive, but I think their time could be better spent getting back up onto this position, which they are taking now. And the payload's been moving back all this time, Shin.
Assassin able to drop things open with the Graviton Surge to start off. Over to be able to take it down. T1W, though, using all of their support ultimates, at least so far. Illusion able to use the sound barrier. They will hold on to the Transcendence, but Bilibili will fall apart very quickly. Zijin, the last player left, will be taken down, and finally this cart will start to move in a forward motion.
Yeah, Assassin bringing out such a key Graviton Surge there. It meant that Bilibili were completely under the control of T1W, because what you want to do as the attacking team there is either force the defending team down onto the low ground, or if you can use something like a Graviton Surge, then you control their positioning and you can cleave straight into it. Which means Bilibili, they're coming in for another defense, another fight before the payload reaches this checkpoint.
Shy has a Graviton Surge, but is a very low charge. We'll be able to get it back up to 80% plus. Shatter is utilized for Silver 3, as he's able to at least get locked in, but Silver 3's found too much damage so far. It looks like T1W should be able to walk away with this point. Well, actually, as I say that, Shy able to come back with 1 kill of their own. Assassin doing what he can to try to stay alive. The Transcendence also used in support for T1W, but it looks like Bilibili are still able to contest for at least a small amount of time. Assassin's damage, though, is very, very good, and it looks like that will be enough for them to finish the second stage as he continues to rip through their opponents.
Assassin's really starting to find his stride here. He was the key reason why they won the last fight, and he was a major reason why they won this fight as well, just bringing in that aggression. He seems a little bit more comfortable than Shy right now. You know, we've commented on how Shy has really been improving throughout this series, but I think after switching off of that Widowmaker and then back on the Zarya, he's got to get back into the swing of things. And Bilibili, they're showing that they're doing much better when they have a lot of control over their positioning, but when they're forced out of it, it makes them a little bit more uncomfortable. And now we're coming into this next part of Junkertown here. they've got to go for this next fight once again.
Oh, Assassin does have a Graviton Surge, but gets shield bashed for a small moment here, as actually Overwatch was able to also utilize the Earth Shatter. Self-destruct sequence comes up for T1W. Sound Barrier used in support as they are staying alive in this fight, as both Zarya's fall early on. Silver 3 trying to move on forward, and all of a sudden, things looking actually pretty decent for T1W as they're able to at least gain some space. The fight doesn't result in any convincing win for either team, but T1W is able to push the cart even further.
This is going to come down to this last fight now, and of course, with just about half a minute on the board, Bilibili's main aim is going to be to try and drag it into overtime, or of course stop T1W from getting the point at all, but if they are going to, you really want it to be in that 0-second mark.
Shy has another Graviton Surge for Bilibili and the defense. Transcendence used very early, though, for T1W trying to save Silver 3, and it's an unsuccessful feat. As we are again getting down to the last 10 seconds, Shy will lock in the last handful of players, which they will be cleaned up. They actually use the self-destruct sequence as well. So were there many, or potentially too many resources utilized? Because there should be still at least a small contest. Hy-Vee will be able to do it in pilot form. So overtime is here. Silver 3 working his way back in, but immediately shut down. He was able to drop the hammer, but it's not in a successful fashion. Bilibili hold on just narrowly to the defense as stage 3 was getting close to completion.
And that is crucial for Bilibili, the fact that T1W weren't able to get it all the way to the end because of their defense, which sets a little bit more of a positive precedent going into their attack next round.
Well, Panda, bringing you back into the conversation, I'm interested to get your take as Bilibili changes up the composition and the pacing of that first stage, and then start to look a little bit better on the normal 3-3 comp.
It's that aggression that we saw out of them all the way back on King's Row. They're bringing it all the way over here to Australia this time around in Junkertown, and that's what you want to see out of them too. Even when you saw their first defense hold, the way that they were able to rotate what little terrain is available on point A, it was all a giant debate. They wanted to basically force you into chasing Coldest down on the Roadhog, and what's right around the corner, it's either going to be a headshot from an arrow, or you're going to be in the sightlines of a sniper rifle, and that's not where you want to be in Junkertown. And then when they ended up taking the 3-3 matchup, because everybody on Bilibili got the close response, they were able to reassess their situation, recycle back up on the high ground, and punish Silver 3 the moment that they were trying to look for any sort of split spawns. The moment he looked up, it was too late. And then they recycled the same selfless spawn camp I know and love 2 times over. They were able to hold off on all their old charge for so long, all the way until Coldest aggressively used the Transcendence instead of using Illusion Sound Barrier in that heat of the moment. That one instance almost lost in the map. Getting all the way pushed to that final moment that we just saw here, it could have been a lot better had Illusion used that sound barrier in that one instance when they were facing pressure on that upper staircase, because all of you saw it. They just walking back in was T1W with 1 Graviton Surge, and they were able to walk away with a team fight victory. But win condition is set here for Bilibili.
Indeed, but we'll see the continuation of Junkertown just after this short abbreviated break. Stick with us as we'll have the conclusion of this final set in just a moment. We're back in the game, and again, apologies as we're still dealing with some technical issues from our live feed from China, so we will be fast-forwarding a little bit in this game as, again, Bilibili on the offense here has already found a lot of very quick success on point A with still just under 3 minutes and 20 seconds to finish off stage 2. They've been rolling through T1W so far. Silver 3 able to find a fire strike here to take down 1, and now Assassin locking the retreat in place. T1W finally getting themselves a successful defense. It comes late into this round here, Geo.
Well, Assassin utilizing that high ground there, which is something you can't really afford to ignore, because if you're busy shielding the other members who are on the same level as you, then you're not going to see as a Graviton Surge comes kind of hurtling towards you from the sky. The same thing also happens with Zenyatta's, but the point is, especially on a map like this, on Junkertown, where you have a high ground that sort of goes around the perimeter of the map, you can't afford to ignore that because you will lose that fight.
At least you should lose that fight. We'll take a look to see how this starts to go forward.
True.
Again, the payload is still just stalled out for the time being. Over trying to position up top. Shy trying to get that charge up. He's been doing a better job of keeping it there. Transcendence comes out from Coldest from the side of Bilibili. A lot of damage is being secured, but not enough to find any eliminations as a really good positioning for T1W. They're able to tactically retreat back, only having to use the rally really from Molenrad. So Shy has to try to find a way to get this Graviton Surge charge back up as Silver 3 is looking for one of those shatters. He's been good with them so far today as he's been winning again that Rien v Rien battle. Here it comes, able to connect with the backline, and Molenrad in the backline with this rocket flail will be able to take down his counterpart Yakumo. High be able to get involved as well. It looks like T1W's defense will be able to sustain itself on the back end of Silver 3's bigger shatter.
That Earth Shadow really did turn out to be lethal, but I did like that we saw Shy attempt to cause Molenrad to back off so they couldn't necessarily capitalize upon it. Of course, it wasn't enough, but it is the right idea. But T1W, they've got such a lot of support here. They have all 3 of their support ultimates, 2 of their tank ultimates. It probably won't take long for Silver 3 to build up the rest of his Earth Shatter. So they really have the advantage here, positioning themselves quite up high. It's going to make it very hard for Bilibili Gaming to contest.
They're going to need to. They're going to have to. See what happens as they, again, are try to position for this high ground first. Assassin does have that Graviton Surge. Will it be all that's needed? There are support ultimates for Bilibili coming online. Mika already with the sound barrier. Coldest will surely get the Transcendence before this fight breaks out. And the scouting report is good. Just comes down to can they respond in time. Does T1W looking for the early aggression. Here's the Graviton Surge in place for Assassin. It will be met though. It's a stacked up support ultimates again. And Assassin's able to even find one kill through all of that. So what's going to be the back end fight here for Bilibili? They've got no way of keeping themselves in the fight. Illusion able to find themselves the sound barrier. And it looks like T1W will once again clean things up. Over able to take down one with him, but again, T1W holding on defense. Bilibili, again, very uncharacteristically stacking up both support ultimates on top of each other.
You talk about it, and it does seem to be a recurring problem, at least in this series. And I don't know if it's panic or if they genuinely think it's the right idea. Generally, at this level, no one thinks it's the right idea. So it could be a lapse in communication. It could be a panic, especially with Coldest sort of misplayed aggressive Transcendence in the last round. It wouldn't shock me if he's just really feeling the pressure and doesn't quite know when the best time to use his Transcendence in this kind of composition is.
Assassin soaking up so much damage. Again, he's the substitute coming into play on the Zarya. Mija was the player who started things off for the first 2 maps for T1W. Over looking for a shatter on the staircase. Doesn't really find anything. Silver dropping low, but gets the sustain. And the peel as Assassin drops in the Graviton Surge, and he will follow up behind it. 100% charge. So much damage melting everybody in his face. And Shy just wondering what can he do. He uses the Graviton Surge. Question marks float for all of us. And, well, he had to make a play to try to hold things down for T1W. But, well, it didn't come in time, unfortunately. Bilibili not able to find a single map versus T1W. That's going to put a panic in their shoes as they will be still heading to playoffs, but as the number 2 seed from Group A.
Panic in their shoes.
I don't know. In their pants. Whatever you want to do. Let's bring in Panda to try to break this one down because, again, I don't think at the beginning of this, I want to just get your take on the whole set here, Panda, but also going forward to the playoffs, what are the biggest issues for Bilibili and how has T1W been able to do this so successfully?
T1W is just playing their game, man. I mean, T1W, we chalked them up as a pretty static 3-3 team, and they've been running nothing but all the way through besides a few niche situations, and they're just exploiting just the same simple fundamentals that you'll see in most situations. I even take it to open division too. You'll see a lot of teams that spend a lot of time together that understand these fundamentals of GOATs. And what that comes down to is just timing. It's just all it is just a little bit of patience coming out from Shy and Yakumo would keep Over alive 10 times over. I cannot stress it enough. I was talking about it coming from Control. I highlighted it back on King's Row, and now I'm just going to wrap it all up in a very unfortunate bow here for Bilibili, is that it just comes down to their management, their shield management. Yakumo pulling out the armor pack when Over takes even the slightest little bit of damage, doesn't have the burst healing available. You all know that there's no burst healing unless there's an Ana inside this composition, unless you're running this very awkward 3-3 composition with the grandma Overwatch in there with it, but that's what the armor pack's supposed to do. It's supposed to push you through that middle of the team fight so that way you don't have to use the sound barrier, so that we don't have to use the transcendence. And then if you're shy, you can use that bubble more proactively when the Discord orb gets placed onto Over, or when the shield bash comes through and he's stunned, or if a counter pin comes through. Regardless of the matter, you're gonna end up getting that charge no matter what. Shy is very adept as a DPS. That is no lie. And he is a very, very accurate, and the tracking is insane. But it's how you get to getting all of that crazy burst damage, which is why you see it's plug and play coming out from T1W. Whether it's Assassin or it's Mija, it is plug and play time and time again, because all they are literally doing is just waiting for that right opportune time to put the passive bubble onto the Reinhardt of Silver 3, and everything's all okay, because Hybe's able to save that much more defense matrix to go party in the backline with Waya and Illusion, and that's just going to be able to create a firm 3-3 composition. T1W firing off on all cylinders today, taking the first seed, well deserved.
Yeah, they really knew what they were doing. I mean, yeah, there's I don't know, there's just so many levels and facets to this, but I have to agree with everything you said, Panda. You know, the way that T1W use positioning, the way they use disengages, even if Silver 3 goes down, they disengage very quickly so that as soon as he's back, they can engage again. They don't waste time. I was very impressed with them today as well, I have to say, and I think it highlighted a lot of holes in what Bilibili have been offering so far this season.
Well, that will conclude our regular season here in Chinese Contenders. We will be gearing up for the playoffs, which will be coming on April 27th and 28th for the quarterfinals. As far as the results speak here, it should be T1W going up against Lucky Future on the top side of the bracket, where Team CC will be the team taking on Bilibili in the first round of the playoffs. But that's not it for Overwatch today. We've got the European division of Open Style Overwatch coming up to you guys in just about 20 minutes time, I believe. So don't go too far, because there is more competitive Overwatch coming. That's been Geo and Panda. I've been IHOLDSHIFT. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. We'll catch you guys on the 27th for Chinese Contenders playoff. Until then, hope that you keep holding it down. So long.